As someone who's been playing zombies for many years now, and caters more towards difficult maps like Shangri-La for example, I'm going to be giving my own retrospective type of look for every zombies map from World at War Nacht all the way to Black Ops 3 Revelations. I'm going to give a quick warning out there to any people that are watching this. I sometimes might have very out there opinions, so if you think that my opinions are complete shit, then go ahead and roast me in the comments. I'm more than welcome to hear you out. I want to hear people's opinions. Now that being said, let's move on to the birthplace of what we call zombies. Now it's the year 2008 on November 11th. What we know as the birthplace of zombies would take place, that being Nacht der Untoten. Now at the surface level, this map really isn't too interesting because it only has 3 doors, 1 box location which introduced us to the first wonder weapon, what we know as the ray gun, which we thought at the time was an insane wonder weapon, but now kind of is one of the worst weapons in zombies, to be honest. Now there was also 7 wall weapons, those being the Carnegie AK, the M1 carbine, the Thompson, the double barrel, the bar, the trench gun, and the sawed-off double barrel. There was also grenades on the wall and the scoped Carnegie AK in the cabinet, but I mean, the Carnegie AK in the cabinet was just kind of a troll for the players to figure out. With all that being said, in terms of gameplay, the map really had nothing else to offer. There was nothing else because it was the first zombies map. Treyarch could have put a little bit more effort into it, but I mean, we can't expect too much from this first zombies map that was ever introduced. However, Nacht der Untoten, I feel as though wasn't really made for its gameplay perspective, but more towards what it was trying to actually show players what it can be, which is the feeling of being trapped in one place and you can't leave that area. And the best word to describe this is the atmosphere. Now, we kind of lost this feeling of being trapped in one map in the newer games. Like, World at War had that feeling, Black Ops 1 had that feeling, and once we got to Black Ops 2, it started to kind of lose its touch. Black Ops 3 just felt really easy, it had like good atmosphere and all that, but we kind of just lost the touch of what it feels to be trapped and terrified of what's yet to come in the map. However, World at War Nacht der Untoten, I wouldn't say it's the best zombies map at showing atmosphere, but it definitely is one of the best maps to show it. Now, this map pretty much checks all the boxes for what you need for an atmosphere for zombies. It has distant fog. The zombies, you can slowly watch them walking towards you, towards the barriers that barely give you any protection before the zombies start to make their way in to meet your timely demise. You also will hear creepy sounds sometimes of the zombies making noises, or just these weird creepy sounds that you really don't know what they are. Now, most importantly, this map only gives you one thing, which is weapons to fend off. You get nothing else. No perks, no pack-a-punch, nothing. Only weapons to fend off. Now, if you're a new player at this time, I kind of envy you, because I've never personally had that feeling of, oh, I feel trapped. The zombies are going to get to me eventually. I don't know what I'm going to do. But if you were a new player at this time, you more than likely felt like you were fighting for your life, fending off until the zombies were finally able to reach you and kill you before you ran out of ammo and all that stuff, before you realized, it's over. I can't come back from this. After players have played this map long enough and figured out, well, there isn't really much to do on this map, there was one big problem that can almost never be avoided in any game, which is boredom. And that's what this map kind of lacks, is there's not much to do, so you're going to get bored very quickly. There is things like you could destroy the barrels outside the map. You could go over on this ledge here and do like a glitch spot to where the zombies can't get you, and if you jump, you die from a death barrier, which sometimes can be fun, but there's not much to do. Or you could simply just go to round 5,000 like, you know, Krups over here, but, you know, who wants to do that, am I right? Other than what I said, there's literally nothing else to do on the map. After you've done all the glitches and everything, nothing. There's absolutely nothing to do. Unless you put like your own little twist on the map itself, but I mean, even that is kind of pushing it because there's nothing. That was until Black Ops 1 was released in 2010. Near the end of Black Ops 1's life cycle, it actually brought back all the World at War maps, and Nacht der Untoten was in that DLC. Black Ops 1 kind of put more life into the map. It kept like the same atmosphere and everything, but you now had Meal Kick, which gave you 3 weapons that you could hold instead of 2. It did cost 4,000 points, which is pretty hefty amount for this kind of map, but Black Ops 1 also released the Thunder Gun, and it they put it into that map as well. So now you also have the ray gun, the thunder gun, all the Black Ops 1 weapons. So it's not a different map, but you have much more variety to work with now instead of just the boring like 20 weapons in the box and that was it. There was more to the map now. This map was also remastered in BO2, BO3, and Cold War. When it was introduced to Black Ops 2, it unfortunately was put into the map Transit, which we know as one of the worst maps ever introduced in zombies, and it was just kind of randomly in a cornfield somewhere. Most people probably don't even know this map existed inside of Transit unless, you know, you actually played the map for a little while and kind of figured out the layout and everything. But once it got to Black Ops 3, that's when this map got the life it needed back to become a map that was kind of interesting. When it was put into Black Ops 3, it had Gobblegum put into it, which to me, I feel like it was needed to be a map that was actually fun to play and a map that was able to be put into Chronicles without being super boring. Some people might argue that Gobblegum ruined the map because it got rid of that whole I feel trapped kind of feeling. Now the map's way too easy. But to me, I feel like it was needed a lot, because now you can go to higher and higher rounds, but it also doesn't feel like you're trapped in a map. It feels like you can actually be free, do whatever you want, but you're still in that same map. It's like a completely different experience on Black Ops 3. This map was also in Cold War. Thank God it wasn't put in BO4. Who knows what would have happened if it was in that game. But in Cold War, it almost felt like a map that wasn't even the same. We know it now as D-Machine, and Nacht was actually used as the base version of the map, but now Nacht der Untoten is just like an added part onto a whole completely new map. It doesn't feel like Nacht der Untoten, but it feels like a completely different map from the rest of the remasters that this map was put into. Like, it doesn't even feel like Nacht der Untoten. It literally feels, I know it's kind of stupid to say, but it feels like D-Machine instead of Nacht der Untoten, if that makes sense. It's not the same map whatsoever. They introduced it so well into Cold War that it really got the life back that it needed from World at War. It doesn't have the same atmosphere, but it got its well-deserved comeback that it always needed throughout the years. Now let's quickly take a trip back as to what Nacht der Untoten was basically evolving to. When the map came out, you felt like you were trapped inside of the walls of a rundown building and you really couldn't do much to get out of there. It would basically stay the same all the way up until Black Ops 3. Black Ops 2, it didn't really even appear that well. In Transit, of course, you know, it was there, but I mean, who really would go out of their way to sit in that part of the map? Like, there's nothing to offer in Nacht der Untoten in Transit. Now, when it came around to Black Ops 3, the player almost had complete control over what their next move would be compared to World at War, where you felt like you were going to die almost every single round. And finally, when we got the D-Machine, it basically lost the original touch that Nacht was trying to do, but it still added on to what Nacht der Untoten really needed. However, with all these changes that Nacht went through, it was needed because as people got older, it wasn't really as terrifying. It didn't have that feeling, as I said before, of being trapped inside of the walls of a place that you cannot escape. And some players just don't want to have the same thing over and over and over again. So Treyarch had to change it in order for it to feel different, to feel like it belongs in the games it was put in. With all that being said, I will now give my own personal thoughts on the map itself, and don't be angry at me if, you don't agree with this, but as I said before, you can roast me if you want in the comments. I don't really mind. Now, as I said at the beginning, I like more difficult maps, and technically speaking, World at War Nacht is a very difficult map in terms of getting to high rounds. Yes, it's really easy to get to high rounds, but it's not an easy map to get to high rounds. The strategy is very difficult, and you can die with just 2 hits of the zombies, and you're over. If I were to give one word to describe this map with, is very lacking. This map doesn't have much to do, and obviously Treyarch couldn't add much because it was the first zombies map to ever see the light of day, but still, I feel like if they could have just put a bit more effort into it, it could have become something even greater than it already is. Even with the added addition of Gobblegum, it still had that feeling of being bored all the time. You couldn't really get past that feeling because it didn't have much to do. But still, this was the first zombies map to ever see the light of day. And if it wasn't for this map, I wouldn't even have a YouTube channel right now. Many other people wouldn't even have a YouTube channel. And who knows where I would be without zombies, because it was one of my very first gaming experiences I've ever had outside of Wii Sports Resort. But that has been the video, been my retrospective look at Nacht der Untoten. Next is going to be Verrucht. If you guys do want to see it, I'm going to go in order. This was inspired by the Smith Plays and my friend Renzaru. So let me know if this was like a good style of video, or if I should try to do a different approach at describing these maps. Make sure you join my Discord server and all that stuff. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out. I love all of you.